Kimberly, I'm going to just give you the mic, and you can introduce all these wonderful people like ASHA and GARYTH and Shay and ALLISON. So take it away, and I'll be here. I'll be here to jump in. That's a Q&A at the end. I encourage the audience to please use the Q&A instead of the feed. When you want to ask questions, we can upvote, and you know, it's more organized for me that way. I appreciate it, and Kimberly, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Gareth. Well, this is really exciting. We've got some incredible speakers today, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But before we get started there, we do have people calling in from all over the world, just like everybody during this conference. And just so that we can make sure you all can connect with them if they drop off, or if something happens, I'm going to ask them to put their contact information and their website top of the chat for us. So they're going to do that now. And I'm going to have Shay start and introduce herself because she's having some internet issues. So we want to make sure we get a chance to have her introduce herself. So please, Shay, let us know how you were brought to this world of Ibogaine, and where you are calling in from, and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I'm Shay Pruger. I have been working with Ibogaine for about 10 years as a provider. The last 4 or 5 years, I've spent a lot of time reformulating my approach. I was trained in really large centers, and I started learning that that really wasn't the right way for me to work, and it wasn't really the right way for my clients as well. So currently, right now, I'm working just with one person at a time, usually for about 2 weeks. I am using a low-dose protocol, thanks to Claire taking a lot of time teaching me it. I'm still learning it, as well as some flood dosing as well. I'm writing a book, and I also have co-launched the Root Ibogaine Collective with some other women in the community, which is a collective that aims at inclusivity. It is hard being a woman in this community. I feel like I've had a hard time like finding my own voice as a woman in this community, and yeah, we're providing support for providers and also support for people that have had unethical or abusive Ibogaine experiences through grievance reports.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shay. Asha, would you like to go next?
Okay. Hi, I'm ASHA CARAVELLI, and I co-facilitate with Rocky CARAVELLI for the Awakening in the Dream House. Ibogaine came into my life personally 17 years ago. My first response to the medicine was complete rejection. And 3 years later, I received medicine for the first time, and I understood something very different. I would also say that the first time that I really heard the medicine through someone was when I heard a phone conversation with Rocky the third day after he was detoxed from methadone, heroin, and methamphetamine. And that was the first time that I heard the medicine through somebody's voice. And that also opened my heart to what this medicine has done for my family personally, and also a compelling desire to help others to do the same.
Wonderful, thank you. And GARYTH, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm GARYTH MOXEY. I'm an Ibogaine provider and 5-MeO practitioner residing in Vancouver, BC. I first took Ibogaine over 10 years ago, and I did my first treatment in Mexico 9 years ago. So I guess I'm going into my 10th year of working with Ibogaine. I trained down in Mexico with some lovely people, but their system of working was, and back then things were a little faster, and so that kind of 4-day, really fast treatment thing was the kind of model that they were doing, and some of the others. And so I came back to Canada, and I went to the 2012 Ibogaine conference in Vancouver, and I met Trevor Miller, and then he and I started Liberty Root. I was the provider the first 3 years there at Liberty Root, and I met Claire at the Vancouver Ibogaine Providers Conference, and she kind of took me underneath her wing. And so having started working with her, we would have people come with EKGs and stuff that would probably not be, would be able to work in places that we're doing flood doses. And, I would say to her, look, I'd really like to work with this person, but I can't. And she would say, well, actually, you can. It's just about how you work with that person. So it was during that kind of introduction to working slowly with people that I adopted a different way of working with Ibogaine. And, later on, having had an adverse situation, I really kind of reevaluated how I was going to move forward working with Ibogaine. So actually everything kind of slowed down much more. And I started working with people that would come back and repeat clients. And I said, you know what, hang on a minute. We're doing things completely differently this time. And I got much better results. And I do this for results, not because I want to make money or anything like that. I was involved in a much bigger business before, and I scaled it right back because I want to do quality over quantity. And that's really important to me. And so my whole way of treating people now is completely different from what it was at the beginning. Now I do Ibogaine treatments, not Ibogaine detoxes. They're quite different.
So we're going to definitely get into dose and the different approaches in the first part of the sections here. But thank you so much, Gareth. I really appreciate it. Allison from Australia, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey, Alison Wiseman from PLANTEK Systems. I've been working with medicinal plants ever since I was a small child, and I got interested in Ibogaine when I was introduced to the plant about 25 years ago. So more coming from a farming and agricultural perspective, we're looking to provide quality clonal material disease-free for future plantations. We've also been working on breeding some more stress and cold tolerant populations, and the first candidates for that have gone out for field trials this year. We'll be watching those for 5 years to test for a variety of factors. We do a lot of work mostly with sterile replication, but also biotech of medicinally and environmentally interesting plants and fungus.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, this is really the Ibogaine in the world, because we've got practitioners and we have sourcing to ask questions of and learn from today. So it's really exciting. So let's dive right in. First, ASHA requested to lead us in a moment of silence, just to hold some space for a myriad of things. ASHA, would you like to lead that?
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. I just wanted to take a moment of silence. We've all, the world, we personally, and certainly within this movement, we've all lost people very dear to us. And I wanted to take a moment to honor them, and also to honor all of us who miss them so dearly.
Thank you so much, Asha. Thank you. And also just wanted to add that to many of the people who are going to and are currently suffering as due to COVID, addiction will be one of the silent killers, unfortunately, of COVID. So there's a lot more work to be done, and I'm so grateful that we're all here to talk about it, and all of the experience you all bring to the table. Let's dive right in. Let's talk about dosage and approaches to how to work with the medicine. In speaking with you all have different experiences and understandings and preferences. So let's talk about what low and slow looks like in juxtaposition to the flood dose perspective. Gareth, could you explain what low and slow is?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, this could kind of date.
Oh, I think
maybe Rocky was one of the.
We lost a little bit of you there. Can you repeat yourself really quick? Can you hear us?
Okay. Yes. with the low and slow thing, my specialty is opiates. I don't really do much psycho-spiritual stuff. Of course, I will do stimulants, but really my forte is opiates. And so that when I first started working with Liberty Root, we had a doctor on our side, and so she would prescribe all of our morphine and benzos that were needed.
No, I think we lost Gareth again. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Gareth, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Opiates, go.
Okay. Opiates. So that's my forte, opiates. And I think, I don't know if you heard this before, there's been some knowledge around opiates and Ibogaine, morphine and Ibogaine actually work very well together. There isn't a lot of public talk about that because we wouldn't want people to be mixing morphine and Ibogaine together at home. It's something that's a pretty specialized skill set to do. But actually, Ibogaine and morphine work very well together. And I've always found that, well, not always found, have come to find, and also working with Claire, and with the long-acting opiates, I got much better results from a layman's sort of look at this, of healing and restoring those opiate receptors slowly, particularly if somebody's been on them for a very long time. So, and also working slowly means that I can work with a lot of people that I normally wouldn't be able to work with. You know, Ibogaine isn't, you know, it's contraindicated with some people, but it really depends on how that's applied to people. You know, in lower doses, you can actually do quite a bit and also work a lot of medicine into people over a long period of time. You know, I don't know if it's such a cost-effective, great business model. We only work with one person at a time. It's my partner, Blair Bromley, and I. And you know, Claire was saying she earns $8 an hour. Well, you know, we're all about the same as well. So, but for example, I'm working with somebody at the moment who came in with a resting heart rate of 49. So wow. He would have been excluded elsewhere. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's been a lot of talk during the last 2 days, definitely about cardiac toxicity, and that is the biggest fear that many people, practitioners and clients alike, that they're trying to avoid. So low and slow can really help work through by very low dose, going over a period. Usually work with people for over 2 weeks. Is that about 10 days to 14 days? So that's different than the flood dose, for sure. ASHA is spinning here, so she unfortunately is not able to comment on this. But Shay, can you talk a little bit, because you've got the experience of both. I know you do as well, Gareth, but your experience, Shay, of flood dose versus low and slow.
Yeah, I would say I'm still learning the low and slow method. It is something that requires vigilant safety. As Gareth was saying, it's not something that you can just do at home. So it requires like constant attention and vigilant safety. I'm still learning it, but I'm grateful to be learning it because, as Gareth was saying, we're able to work with people that we wouldn't have been able to work with before. We're able to catch problems that might have occurred on a flood way ahead of time. We have the ability to stop and move slow and move at a pace that works for someone. I also think that, you know, when people are integrating with the world, with the medicine in their system, they're really able to observe their own behavior and really get deep with the medicine and deep with themselves. You know, you can flood someone, and a lot of times people forget the flood state, and people look at it just as a peak experience of there's a flood, I'm healed. But when you really take your time to get the medicine into someone slowly, it becomes this really big process, and it's a lot. It's not just kind of this one-hit wonder. It becomes I think people look at it as a process and are able to really build a relationship with the medicine.